Hello, my friends. It's Andy at the Andy Falco Show, coming to you live from Brea, California. I'm happy to be with you. It's a pretty decent day out. It's still not as warm as I would like it to be. The kids are actually playing in the pool right now, and I can see them. So don't worry, I can keep an eye on my kids while they're swimming on the pool. But I have a very fun show today. Finally, I know I've had a bunch of serious shows lately, and it's not that those aren't important. Obviously, they are, but I think it's also important to talk about some other stuff that's happening in the world. And Matt Roden is, it just came to mind. We go to the same church, essentially. He's actually at the Orange campus, and he's the worship leader at the Orange campus. I attend the Yorba Linda campus. I used to be very active in the men's groups over there. I'm not sure, I should even ask him if we ever ran into each other. It's possible because we have a very big church, by the way. But it was Easter. It was during Easter that a song was played, obviously online because we were in quarantine. And I don't know what it is. That song has stuck with me. And there's words that make me tear up. And I plan on reading through some of the lyrics. And I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to get through it without tearing up, because I've tried already 3 or 4 times just to get it out of my system. And I can't. But before I bring Matt on, what I want to do is to bring a couple of our sponsors to you so you can check them out. And then the first one is a new one. It's called todayshappycoffee.com. I would like you to go there and check out this coffee. This coffee is amazing. It actually helps you be more than just energized from the coffee, but also it literally helps you be happy. And they have a bunch of other products that are good for you and on the wellness space. And right now that I'm really about getting into wellness and some very good products for wellness. So go ahead and check that out, todayshappycoffee.com. And then, of course, for the CBD people, we got CBD1, which is no THC. It has the delivery system of liposome technology, what allows the nutrients to get into your body. So you go to Today's CBD oil to get that. And then Today's Vaseo. Everything starts with today, because you need to do it today, right? And Today's Vaseo are other wellness products that I love. They virtually have changed my life. My history of being a police officer, the injuries that I've had, the depression and anxiety that I've suffered from. And since I've started these products, it's just been great. I can't tell you that they cure me because the FDA forbids me from doing that, but it's a coincidence that since I started taking all these products and really changing my overall health, that all of that has changed. So if you have any questions about that, feel free to contact me. All right. So right after this intro video, I'm going to bring on Matt and we're going to get started, and I'm going to play a song. And so you can enjoy the song too. All right. Just one second. Hey there, Matt. How are you?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, nice to finally connect. I had a hiccup last week because one of my sons suddenly had these red eyes and bloody nose, and we couldn't figure it out. And it was like minutes before we were supposed to go live, and it caused some shenanigans. So I first want to apologize, but also thank you for being so patient with me.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. And sorry you got to deal with that. 5 kiddos, man. That's a lot of work. So
yeah, the 14-year-old is now a teenager, so now he's like 3 kids in one. You never know what mood is going to creep in there, right? He's a great kid, but I was a teenager. You were a teenager. You had those days.
I still feel like one.
Right. So just for a moment, just briefly tell the audience who you are and about your history of singing and songwriting.
Yeah, so, well, like Andy said, I'm Matt Roden. I'm actually a worship pastor. I was going to say worship preacher, but I guess I do preach the gospel when I sing the songs. But no, I'm a worship pastor in Orange at Friends Church. Like you said, we go to church together. And I'm not sure if we've ran into each other. But yeah, so I lead worship. I grew up in a house of music. I mean, we listened from anything from, the Cathedrals to the Oak Ridge Boys to Michael Jackson and the Eagles. So I was, the music background that I had was really diverse. And so I loved all kinds of music. But, I didn't start really playing music like wholeheartedly probably until I was about 14. And so, I learned to play piano, and I wrote my first song when I was 14 years old. So I kind of just been writing songs ever since then. And I probably would say I haven't really started writing great songs until the last maybe 5 or 6 years of my life. But I just like, I had dedication to the craft, and I've just, I've done, I guess what I can do to get the best at it. But had 2 great parents, love them both. My dad sang Southern gospel music, so that's probably kind of where, some of that came from. But I'm married now. My wife is Latina, and I love her very much. She is just an incredible person, and I have a little girl. She's about 1 year and 8 months, and I hope she loves music, and I hope she wants to do it too. So, but that's just kind of awesome. a brief thing about me.
Yes. So. Well, we belong to Friends Church. We have Yorba Linda Friends Church and Orange Friends Church and Anaheim Friends Church and some others that are going out there. We have churches in India. We're a pretty big church. We're a pretty big deal, by the way. But the thing I am jealous about is that Matt is over in Orange and not over at our church. But I did want to say, isn't it amazing that in our group of churches, the amount of talent that we have in the field of music, whether it's singers and instruments, and I've never seen, it doesn't matter who is on that stage, they are talented above American Idol.
I totally agree. I'm very proud to be a part of the group of talent that we have at our church. So absolutely.
All right. So before we go much deeper, because I do want to talk a little bit about what's going on today and how maybe this song relates to what's going on today, if you don't mind, so you can give that a thought while playing the service. So this is the video that was played, the replay of the service for Easter, where I first heard this song. And I think it's appropriate that I play it so you can know what we're talking about as we get into the lyrics and why Matt chose to write this song and to use the words that he used. So stand by. We'll be playing that right now.
There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on me, 'cause all of these questions I can't answer still. I know this for sure. There's gotta be more to life than this.
Yo, I've heard it said that there is more than one season of life, but how come every morning I wake up, it feels dry? All the decisions that I make, I'm second guessing. In every corner that I take, I feel I'm robbed of a blessing. It's like my soul's trying to make ends meet. Like, is there really a God above us? He just left me in the streets, 'cause everything that I touch, it needs a touch up though. Grabbing fruit for my labor, no, I'm taking out the garbage, yo. Yes, there are moments that I've tried to reason, thinking this emptiness just goes with every season. Maybe there's a God above who just won't listen, or maybe a question or two I haven't asked that I'm missing. Like, is there more to life, or is my life at stake? Do I really have a purpose, or is it all a mistake? So I'm left to praying with an open mind, thinking there's got to be more, but it's all in time.
There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on me, 'cause all of these questions I can't answer still. I know this for sure. There's gotta be more to life than this.
I'm the one that's got it all, I got the answers right. I've got money in the bank but couldn't write a check to save my life. And it's a dangerous place that I'm in, 'cause it's been taking me to places I ain't never been. With loneliness inside of me, depression and anxiety, reminding me that I can't trust this world that has lied to me. And if it's true that I've been played by the world, can I really trust the creator of every boy and every girl? He's either a lunatic or a sad man, a madman or a bad man, 'cause I can't ever understand why you give your life for all men. And is this gift of love just something to borrow, or is it something that has substance that can drown out my sorrow? 'Cause I'm exhausted of the mind games. I make another move and life is calling checkmate. I'm getting sick of all the heartache and the blind dates. With these questions I can answer, hoping someday
there's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on
no matter the headspace you find yourself in. There's a God who is and was and has always been. He's the antidote to the wrestling inside. Jesus came to die and raise in 3 so we could have life. He took the weight of the world so we confide in him. He promised to walk with us in valleys when the future's dim. It's his resurrection that can redirect us, giving us hope in the worst of circumstances. And not that we would come to him just to fix us up, but he loves his children so, and he never gives up. So when you think that you have finally reached the end of your rope, listen closely to me, friend, there's some things you should know. He's the father to the fatherless, hope to the hopeless, the joy to the joyless, the sight to the sightless, the peace to the peaceless, the might to the mindless, the light in the darkness. Hear me saying, friend, that Jesus is enough. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. Give me Jesus. You can have all this world. You can have all this world. You can have all this world.
Wow. Every time. Every time. Man, gosh darn it. But I got to ask, before we get into it, well, first of all, tell me, are there some people on that song and some additional people, contributors to that song that you want to,
Yeah,
mention before
man.
we move on?
Yeah, sorry, dude. I get emotional watching that. I just I love everybody on that stage, dude. And, it's tough to watch people on that stage that I respect so much from different colors pouring out their heart in that song with us. And sorry, that just hit me differently than before. But the guy that was singing was Josh Catalin, who is obviously not a white American. He's of another color. And our buddy worship leader on the guitar, who is obviously not a white American, that is playing the guitar. And our buddy AJ, who we respect more than anybody, who's a worshiper of Jesus, who is obviously not a white American. Aaron Kim, who is an Asian American, who sang on that song. We're all dealing with the same stuff, dude. So it's just it was an honor to make that song with those guys. Mike Mata, the guy on the drums, he's the one that produced that. So, I mean, every sound that you hear, that guy did. And so, man, I don't know. That was that was a very different experience watching that after what I've been seeing the world going through right now.
Yeah. And that's what I meant, because when we first started talking about this was not going on, right? And I was talking about, this is important for us to hear because of the pandemic and everything that we're going through with business. I didn't receive a stimulation check. I've not got a PPP loan. I've got nothing. And there's certain words of that song hit me all the time. Like I can't, they're writing the paycheck, right? My kids asked for something the other day. I said, we can't do that. And so, but it's that reminder at the end that there is a God. Yeah. And then we come into this situation. So how is there a different, I think you answered that question. It's even more important, right? For this.
Yeah. I think everything matters. It all matters. Everyone matters. And I think it for me, it's just a reminder and a testament, man, that we all go through the same stuff. no matter our skin color. And what brings us in unity is Christ, you know. And I think like the whole COVID-19 thing, you know, we didn't see it coming, but it, like when Matthew said what we were doing for Easter, the title was "There's got to be more to there is more to life than this." Like we were like, everybody's already dealing with stuff. Like we don't need COVID-19 to help us already deal with what we're going through. And then COVID-19 just like heightens it, you know. It's like, and I can't imagine the amount of mental health problems that are even going on right now during COVID-19. And then on top of that, we have this race discussion that's going on that is so like crucial and needs to happen. But to like give you just like more of really an insight of why the song was even written in the first place. When Matthew gave us the title of that song, I mean, the title of Easter, I was kind of just going to do it as a class project. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, here's a topic, go have fun. And so I was like, I could do this. I was like, let's do something different. Let's I don't know. I'm kind of down to offend some people. You know, I mean, let's get real. I mean, a white guy rapping, like, it's not the most accepted thing on the planet. You know, it's and so I was like, I tried everything, Andy. I'm telling you right now, I tried everything in my mind power to not get on that track. Like we were going to ask other guys, and I just didn't want to do it because I love to rap and I love the art form and I respect it more than anybody, but I just didn't want to go there. And maybe
let me I'm so sorry, but let me ask you this. Is this one of those times where you're trying not to do something? And I think people overuse this, that, you know, that God spoke to them or moved them. I just have that feeling. I come from a different, and maybe we'll get into this about where my faith is and where it's been.
Right.
But this sounds like, based on what you're saying, this is a time, I don't know if you write by pencil or type it out, but this is where God just took a hold of your hand and said, this is what you're writing. I don't care what you are saying.
Well, and that was the thing, like, you know, I was like, I just want someone to talk about like what people are dealing with, man. I mean, let's be honest, you know, in America, depression, anxiety are a big thing, you know. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we all got our opinions on that. And, you know, my wife, she has clinical anxiety. I mean, she's diagnosed with it. She takes medicine. And so there's so many variations of it. But yeah, when I started writing that first verse, this is what happened. I just wanted to get an idea to the guy on how I wanted it to flow. You know, whoever the guy was that was going to rap, I was like, this is a conversation. I want it to be a conversation. I don't need like, I don't even know what you'd say. I just want them to sound conversational. And so I started writing that first verse. And when I finished that first verse, I was like, oh my God, like I've got something to say about this, you know? And so, I mean, what happened was when I actually saw that I had something to say about it, that's when I went, maybe God is telling me that I should say something and I should do this. So yeah, you're right. I mean, it wasn't like, you know, God was like audibly like, Matthew, you know, it's like, but as I was expressing myself and the way the conversation coming out of my mouth, and I was like, wait a second, I have something to say about this, you know? So
it's one of those times where sometimes you say something or write something and say, wow, did that just come out of me? Exactly. I didn't know that. I didn't know I knew such stuff, or that I could have believed. I had a show yesterday that I was speaking, and I said a couple things that I even shocked myself. Like, wow, that's me.
That's true, man.
And so I want to talk about that first verse, and you've already brought up the anxiety and the depression, and then I can't trust this world that has lied to me. And these are words that I've said in my head. And I've had a gun in my mouth when I was in my early 20s, and I had pressure on the trigger, and I was gonna end it. And then on the TV with Sally Struthers talking about children hungry in Africa, and I saw these children with flies, you know, in their eyes and distended stomachs, and I was thinking, and I was laying on a waterbed. in La Mirada, California, with food in the refrigerator, running water, toilet in my water that I could flush down. I didn't have to hike, right? I didn't have to go behind a book. And I'm sitting there with a gun in my mouth, and I was thinking, what the hell? You know?
Yeah.
And I talk about the world lying to you. I was lying to myself, right? And the world was saying that, to me, it was this weird thing that I was talking. And then this next, it's not the next one on your song, but this next thing right here, he's either a lunatic or a sad man, a madman or a bad man. Because I can't even understand why you give life for all man. And that was what caused me to go agnostic for a period, because I was raised Catholic. I'm a recovering Catholic. It was that type of thinking where then I went to be a police officer. And, is there really a God? I was in sex crimes with child molestation and rapes. And some of the cases involved the Catholic Church and other churches where, somebody in the church had committed it. And those words, right? Those words, tell me, how did you get into my brain back in my 20s and 30s and bring out those very words that I've said in my head? What does that mean to you, and why did you come up with that?
Yeah. So to go back to that first verse, if you listen to the lyrics of that first verse, that was literally my life for probably the last year and a half to 2 years. Like I was so depressed and angry. That's probably one of the things I didn't throw there. Anger. I was just angry, dude. I was so angry, and anger and depression really walk hand in hand. But I just, this sounds crazy, but like I went, and I don't know. I mean, people talk about women having postpartum depression, but like when we had our kid, like I can't even believe I'm going to say this, but I'm going to say this because it's reality. It's just what people, it's just sometimes the way humans are. We're gross, but I honestly did not want a kid. I didn't want a kid. And so, I mean, me and Mom, we fought about it for a very long time. And I finally just said, let's do it. And so I've already had been battling with, boxing it out with depression over the years. I mean, my brother passed away about 12 years ago. And so like when he passed away, there was just a cycle of like the anger, grieving, all this stuff. And so I don't know if I ever really dealt with it. And so this season of life, when I responsibility and all this stuff was thrown in my face, I was so angry at my wife and my kid for really no reason other than the fact that I was being selfish, and it wasn't something that I wanted, and like, and it sent me on this spiral of like this year and a half of feeling like God wasn't doing anything in my life. God wasn't doing, what I thought he would be doing at 31, 32. When you listen to that line, it feels like my soul's trying to make ends meet. Like, is there really a God above, or is he left me in the street? Like, I felt so abandoned. On top of that, like, you didn't even have to throw the kid in the mix. I was just in a weird season already, and I felt so abandoned. But when you start throwing in the responsibility of the kid and like something I didn't want, my wife is like, he's so indulged with watching the kid that like we're not really having any attention toward each other anymore, and it's all about the kid, not about us. And like there was just so much going on, man. I literally, I mean, there's some other things too, but like I literally had like what would probably be close to nervous breakdown like that winter. And so like the lyrics that I write were from such a deep place. I was angry at myself. I was angry at who I had become. I was beating myself up because I wasn't a good husband and a good, father. And so like, it was just this spiral, dude. It just kept doing this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, then what happened? I mean, how did that,
yeah,
end that spiral and get back on top of it?
Yeah. Well, to answer the lyrics in the second verse, okay. I've always been intrigued by Spurgeon and Wesley, but that statement is actually a statement from Wesley. Like the idea of Christ laying his life down for us. Like whether you agree with it or not, like there's people that go, man, he was either a lunatic for laying his life down for us. He was a madman. He was sad. And he, he just like, he's just sad. Like he's just a poor soul. Or he was a bad man, the way that he caused, it's like there's all these different lenses that people will see him as. And so like, I think when I was writing that second verse, I was trying to maybe write that verse from the lens of maybe someone else. Like first verse was my lens, second verse was like, let's think about someone who's got it all. They got the answers right, but they got money in the bank, but couldn't write the check to save their life, And then
right.
When I wrote that verse, I went, that's me. Like, I'm not rich, but I've got money in the bank, and I sure as heck, I don't have the answers. And like, when I really think about what God has done for us, I'm like, it is foolishness to the world. Like what he has done for us can be viewed as foolishness. And it's like, those are questions people ask, man. Like this guy you follow, like he's a lunatic that he would like, he's just laying his life down for you because you were a bad person, And so, I just started getting in the mindset of like, what would someone actually say that wasn't me, And so that's kind of where those lyrics came from. But to answer how I got out of that season of depression, it was definitely a process. There were supernatural moments where God met me, but then there was the grinding out of renewing my mind, and counseling it was one of those. Awareness is one of the biggest keys, man. I mean, you've got to be aware of where your soul's at. Like, because when I wrote those lyrics, I was like, that's where I finally became aware. Like before I wrote the lyrics, like knowing that my soul was actually trying to make ends meet, like just try to get by. Like that's where I finally like had awareness of like, I'm literally just trying to get by. Like I need help. And so, I mean, professional help, I would suggest that to anyone. Like it is absolutely necessary if you find yourself in a very low point. But I have really great community of friends too that love me, and that's community is extremely important. But you can't underestimate the grind of honestly sitting in his presence and going, God, what are you doing? Like, what are you trying to do in me? Like, I don't want to be like this anymore. And it's like, it's not always like being in his presence and asking those questions and worshiping him and looking into his word. It's not always going to happen in the moment. It's the process of taking up our cross daily and going, God, like, I don't want to be the same. Like, I need you to intervene. I need you to help, So there's the side of the supernatural, the spiritual, where we've got to pursue him and ask him to do a work. But on the same side, there's very practical things we can do. We can get help. We can go talk about it with somebody, we need to talk to, and, having a great wife that supports and friends that helps too. So
yeah, for sure. You brought up a lot of things there, and especially, self-awareness of being swallowed up by jealousy and, blaming other people for where you're at and that kind of stuff. That is obviously an important thing to not do on a daily basis. The Bible talks a lot about that. And the worship of money and what other people have, as opposed to understanding, you are where you were at, and, be happy that us, especially here, you and I talking, we're both in homes, right? With a roof over our head. Yeah. We are part of the 10% that are rich.
Yeah.
Right? We live in Orange County. We live in the land of gracious living, right? And those are the things like, gosh, what am I depressed about? What, I could be walking a mile for some water and in a trash heap looking for food, and then walking 5 to 10 miles back to feed my family, right? There's that aspect of it. The next one is a man, you being a man, and I was a police officer at the time, and I was very machismo, and I can't let anybody know that I'm hurting or sad or depressed or having anxiety, because if I do, they'll look at me as a wuss or worse word. Right? It wasn't until I said, you know what? I think I was ordered to go see a psychiatrist. And they said, because after a shooting, and some other stuff. I have a book where I write about this stuff. That it wasn't until then that I went to a psychiatrist that literally really took the black cloud away from over my head. Now, I had fooled people into believing I was a really happy person, right? I put on this persona and this character. I was funny. I was joking around. I was, had everything, but inside it wasn't that way. But it wasn't until that I, went and saw a psychiatrist. Again, I was under orders. There was nothing I could do about it. Some of us don't have people to order us around like that. We would rather just wallow in our depression, and because it's easier than just than doing that. So I'm glad you said that. That's really important, that you have to reach out. And then the spiritual side of things, I was agnostic, for the most part. I don't think I ever went atheist.
Yeah.
But it really wasn't until I got into Mariners Church first. I was their security, in charge of their security over at Mariners for a while.
Okay.
And then came to Friends Church. But it was being at a place where this message of the Bible and some of the important aspects of the Bible, even though in the early times I found it very difficult to believe and to follow. Thought that's impossible. Really, these are just stories, right? I continued, right? Because he's a bad man or a bad man, or he's a lunatic, right? But it really helped to continue to go and be strong. And like you said, be around people, because I think I could be sitting next to somebody that thinks the same thing, but we're still there. Looking for answers and holding each other up and that kind of stuff. So I didn't mean to go on a long diatribe there, but I just thought what you said was so powerful, because it's self-awareness, getting help when you need it, and then finding an organization that has a positive message that you can follow and be there with other men and other women groups. And so there was a lot in that discussion that you just said.
I honestly, man, I think the number one thing that most people underestimate is simply having community that cares. Like, love covers a multitude of sins. If you can have people that love you and are there for you, man, sometimes that's better than therapy. Like, it's love from your community around you sometimes is just food to the soul. So find you some good friends,
Right. So let's just go ahead and skip ahead, if you don't mind, if we go to the last person. It's only because, I literally could make this discussion 2 hours long. But there's a lot of powerful words. There's a lot of powerful words in those verses. And I so badly, I keep thinking I want to go back to some other ones, but I want to get to where you kind of took us on a journey, I think, that, depression and anxiety and, money, issues and all this stuff. And, is there really a God? Because it doesn't really seem there is one. Right. We got rioting going on. We got, cop cars being caught on fire. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. We got this pandemic that is killing people. And you're saying, is there a God? And so how do you come to verse 3 for the most part, right? And really say, you know what, but there is a God, and I believe. How do you get there when you laid down this other area where it's, you're not sure?
Yeah. I think the biggest misconception of the message of the gospel in church is that Jesus is going to solve all your problems.
Right.
And I'm just like, I don't know that I actually land that he's going to solve your problems, but he is the antidote in a sense of what I say on the end is he went through everything that he went through so that we could confide in him, not come to him just so that he can fix us up. Like, it's not, he never said that. Like, he went, hey, everyone come to me because I'm going to make you perfect again. Now the gospel does say that because Jesus laid down his life for us, that we're made right before God. But in this span of time, I'm going to try to get it in this window here. In this span of time of life, he never once said that your life is going to be easy and cheesy, bro. Like, never. And so the hope of this message of this song was not like, hey, everyone come to know Jesus because your life's going to be great. It's the idea that Jesus gave his life for us. He went through the worst pain that any man would suffer, rejection from people he loved, beaten, physical pain, loneliness. I mean, like, can you imagine the amount of loneliness this guy went through as he walked the earth? He angered every religious leader, every political leader, because his way of leading was with love and grace. And like if anyone's dealt with loneliness, depression, anxiety, pain, physical pain, all of those things, it's him, right? And so the journey I was hoping to take us on the end was like, literally, give me Jesus. He is a friend of sinners. He's a friend of the depressed. He's a friend of the lonely. He's a friend of the anxious. And because he's gone through all of that, we can confide in him. It does not mean that you're going to be your problems will be solved. And like I think like we can butter the message up in a way that's great. I mean, like, look, there's hope beyond what I could even express on this screen. When Jesus comes back for us and restores all things, that's the hope we have. But the hope that we have now as we live and we breathe right now is that Christ is with us in our pain and in those seasons. And can he heal us? Absolutely. I would never say he can't heal us and take it away. But what I've learned more oftentimes than not, that as I'm walking with him, sometimes those little pain things are so that it would bring us closer to him. And it says often that we're to rejoice in our suffering. And those are things people don't want to hear, man. Like nobody wants to go, yeah, like, I don't know who's watching right now, but you don't want to hear from me right now to rejoice in the midst of the suffering. Like, you don't. Like, I don't want to hear that. But I have to tell myself that there is one that has gone before me and he's with me. And in my pain, I can sit in a room, I can read his word, and I can cry it out with him. And he can go, I get you. I understand you, even when no one else does. So, hopefully people hear the hope in that. I don't know if that's like what people want to hear, but it's like, that's the reality of the gospel. Like, he didn't come to make your life perfect, man. He came so that you could confide in him, and he went through all that pain so that you could receive his grace and his love and his understanding. So,
well, you bring up a verse which is one of my favorites, and my plan is to have it tattooed. I haven't figured out what it's going to look like as far as a tattoo, but it's James 2-3, James 1:2-3. Consider it pure joy, my brothers and sisters, whenever you face trials of many kinds, because you know that the testing of your faith produces perseverance.
Dude,
it's just so one of my favorites. I think of that often.
Yeah. It's tough to do, Andy. It is the toughest thing to do, man. And like the thing is like, I think everyone thinks when it talks about in God's word, whether you're Christian or not, but like it talks about us suffering for Christ. And I don't think all the forms he's talking about there, as in suffering, is this idea of like, you have to have a gun at your head to pronounce the name of Christ. You have to, you have to be persecuted to suffer for Christ. There are so many ways that we suffer with him simply just by living this life. You know what I'm saying? Yep. And so like, when it says consider it joy when you face all these trials, it's like we're suffering with Christ, whether we're being persecuted or we're literally abstaining from things we shouldn't be doing, or we're actually fighting life and to understand who we are more in Christ and who he is in us. It's like, that's part of suffering too, And so anyway, I'll go on and on about that, but
sorry, I thought I turned off notifications. So sorry about that. Yeah, so that was your signal that you need to stop because I have something to say. No, just kidding. But that's powerful stuff. And there are so many great. I don't think there's a word in there because sometimes one of the I don't know if it's a pet peeve or it's an issue with Christian music sometimes, because there's some great Christian music, but there's some Christian songs that just sounds like they're they put words in there as fillers, and it's like they repeat. And I go, that phrase didn't really sound. It sounded like they had to throw that in there to make it rhyme with the next verse, right?
Yeah.
I don't know why I get that more often with Christian songs than I don't know what it is. But I don't mean to always be critical of Christian songs.
No.
But I didn't find a word or a phrase that wasn't important that needed to be in there. And that's not because you're here in front of me. You can ask anybody. I said, I told my oldest daughter who's close to being atheist, and I've been working on her. And I said, you got to hear the song. And she liked the song. I was like, and she goes, yeah, that's a really good song. And she goes, but you know how I feel about, I know, but just listen to the song.
No,
listen to the words. I didn't even play the video. I just played the audible thing just so she could hear the words, because I thought it was that important. I'm going to break through with this woman at some point.
Dang.
But with all that said, with the words, where I wanted to kind of end on is the production of the song. And there are clear, you talked about people, with the sounds, right, and the music, that really kind of put it all together. There's drops in the music and the tones. I think it's between the second and third verse, or what's the young lady's name who's singing?
So the young lady that's singing is Emily Hamilton. She's from a group called For All Seasons. She's awesome.
Oh, jeez. And so I think it's the second time she comes in, and then there's that drop, right? But I don't know what happens, but it causes my heart to kind of begin to, I don't know. I don't want to say, I sound really funny right now. And I know I'm a man and I have children and I don't mean to sound kind of weird, but there's these little changes in the tone. Is that purposeful? Was that, did you guys talk about how important it is to change the mood?
Yeah. So, well, if you even I don't know, you sound like you're pretty apt to understanding like the emotion and production stuff of it. Did you notice there's a different in tone in the first verse, also quarterly, than the second verse? Yes.
I didn't know that's what it's called, but I noticed. I go, wow, that really makes this song work. Yes, go ahead.
So if you listen to me tonally, the way that I'm doing this on the first verse, I'm very serious. Like because that with me personally, like I have a tone that's very like, I need you to listen to what I'm saying. And then so the chords are a little more minory and less playful. But the second verse, I get a little bit more playful because I felt as though I was really heavy, and I needed to lift it a little bit with the way that I was delivering it. So I think he heard that in me tonally, and that way he kind of shifted the thing, because I was kind of trying to be a smart aleck.
Okay.
I was, because like just think of the first line. I'm the one that's got it all. I've got the answers right. I got money in the bank, but I couldn't write a check to save my life. So like I'm trying to ruffle some feathers a little bit. I'm trying to offend some people, because the reality is more money in the bank doesn't give you the right answers to life. And then you even still, we've seen it over and over through history. Just because you have more money doesn't mean you got the answers right and your life's great, And so I kind of was trying to be playful while being offensive. So the music kind of helps with that. So yes, we were very intentional with that. And then when we drop on that last verse, what I didn't want is the production to get in the way of the message of the gospel. So I told him, look, I want the camera on me, and I just want to have a conversation with somebody. Because the reality is no matter the headspace that you're in, whether it's he's a lunatic, I love you, God, but you've left me in the street and I'm feeling depressed, lonely, and anxious. He is and was and has always been, and he's here to confide, for us to confide in him, So like, I really wanted to have that conversational piece. And when I start glorifying who he is, there's nothing left to do but to pump it up. It's like,
oh my God, that part, that was so next. I was going to go when you say he's the father to the fatherless, a hope to the hopeless, joy to the joyless, the sight to the sightless, the peace to the peaceless, the might to the mightless. He's the light in the darkness. Hear me saying, friend, that Jesus is enough. it just wraps it all up. And I know that I did not do that as well as you, but it's just those words. Just saying them right now gives me chills.
Yeah.
And I can actually get a tattoo of your words on my body somewhere.
That's awesome.
And how it ends with the lights coming up. I mean, that's all done in our church, on the stage of our church, mind you, where I've trained hundreds of dogs over the years. I don't know if you know that I train dogs all over narcotics and bed bugs there in the church. But I think that made it even a little bit more special to me. But the lights, the words, the music, just it finished me off. And that both you and I, how you saw me and how you were feeling is how I feel every time I hear the song. And I don't know what it is about the song.
No, that's honestly, it's honoring to hear that's what it does for people, because you just never know, bro. You know, that's the thing about art. You throw it on a canvas and you go, I hope somebody likes it.
Well, before you know what, I was queuing up. You probably heard Kyle talking there a couple times. It's because I was trying to queue up the video again, because I felt it was necessary, because I see numbers kind of increasing, and so there's people maybe didn't hear it in the beginning. So I want to end the broadcast with that song. But is there any part of what we discussed today that you think is an important part that we didn't discuss? I know we talked about a lot. 46 minutes have gone by really fast with you. Is there message beyond what we've already talked about?
Man, I don't know. I feel like I've said everything that needs to be said, but it is interesting. I just thought in my head, because you were ending on the production idea, but when the song ends and it subdues, there is a piece that happens in that moment. And lyrics are just "Give me Jesus." I don't know if anyone's watching today, but there is a piece that happens when we say "Give me Jesus," and I really believe that. And so, I don't know, wherever you find yourself today, whether it's depression, anxiety, he can bring peace, man. I really believe that he doesn't fix our problems, but he can bring peace. And like I said before, like maybe he can supernaturally. I really believe he can turn us around, but more oftentimes than not, when we give ourselves over to him, it's a matter of him changing our perspective in the midst of the storm that we're in. So perspective is key, man, because this world is painful, and perspective allows us to be gracious on ourselves, on others. And I think it's important right now to hear that Christ brings peace, so, but yeah, I think that's it, dude. That's all I want to say.
All right. Awesome. All right. All you that are watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, we just got a comment from Twitch, which is funny because we don't get a lot of messages from Twitch. But Donnie, thank you for, obviously he's in Australia watching. I appreciate that. If you're watching the replay, please comment about anything that you think that moves you, or that you agree with, or maybe even disagree with. I don't mind. It's all important. But your comments are important to me, because this is how we cause our videos to reach other people. I just really would appreciate the shares, the likes, and the comments. And Matt, I cannot wait until the church opens up back again. I'm going to go to Orange.
Let's go.
Just because I want to be there and hear you sing and introduce myself in real life, even though we may or may not have met before. Who knows? At one of the barbecues or something. I don't know. But I am happy that we had this time together, and just appreciate you and everything you do.
Absolutely, man. Well, thank you. I really appreciate it.
All right. Oh, you know what we didn't say is, how can people find the song? I should have said that earlier.
Oh yeah. No, yeah. You can, man, it's, pretty much all major platforms. So Spotify, Apple Music, you can stream it on YouTube, all those great places. So, and we'd really love the support, and, we're hoping we're releasing a lot more music to come soon. We just re-kicked up this band called City and Soul. It was a band that I started a while back, but I took a while break, and part of the break was because I was going through that season of depression. But we have some great music coming out soon, so stay tuned to that. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we're going to be posting a lot of video content and music soon. City and Soul Worship, and so but Friends Worship is what this song is under, and you can find that on all major platforms, man. The song's called More.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. All right. So I put the link to our Easter service in the comments, so you can click on that and find it. You should listen to all the music. You shouldn't just skip his song, but but if you want to, you can just skip to Matt's song. This is Kyle, one of our pastors, who's he's now leading up the Orange. Right?
Yeah.
Is that well?
Yeah, he's
well,
at the campus.
Okay, very good. I know Kyle from Mariners Church, where I was running that security.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you knew him. I was.
Yeah. All right, my friends. So I'm going to end with a video of Easter service of Matt's song, along with all the other people he named earlier, who did a fantastic. Again, these are all people that are in our church for the most part. I think just about everybody, right?
That's our team, bro.
Yeah, I'm telling you, we have the most. This is only part of the team. I mean, everybody that plays an instrument or sings is high caliber people. So, all right, my friend, thank you very much for joining. You can stay on and enjoy the music with me. I don't know if you know this guy, Matt Roden, but he's really good.
Thanks, man.
All right, cool.
That was a good one.
Deeper, more profound journey with you. God, for some people, this may be the first Easter that they encounter you. And so I pray that you would help them to surrender wholeheartedly to you. And God, for all of us, may we take our next step of faith with you, knowing that there is more to life than what we are experiencing today. There's more that you have for us as we walk through this journey. I pray this in the power of your name, Jesus. Amen.
There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on me. 'Cause all of these questions I can't answer still. I know this for sure. There's gotta be more to life than this.
Yo, I've heard it said that there is more than one season of life, but how come every morning I wake up, it feels dry? All the decisions that I make, I'm second guessing. In every corner that I take, I feel I'm robbed of a blessing. It's like my soul's trying to make ends meet. Like, is there really a God above us? He just left me in the streets. 'Cause everything that I touch, it needs a touch up though. Grabbing fruit for my labor, no, I'm taking out the garbage, yo. Yes, there are moments that I've tried to reason, thinking this emptiness just goes with every season. Maybe there's a God above who just won't listen. Or maybe a question or two I haven't asked that I'm missing. Like, is there more to life, or is my life at stake? Do I really have a purpose, or is it all a mistake? So I'm left to praying with an open mind, thinking there's got to be more, but it's all in time.
There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on me. 'Cause all of these questions I can't answer still. I know this for sure. There's gotta be more to life than this.
I'm the one that's got it all, I got the answers right. I've got money in the bank, but couldn't write a check to save my life. And it's a dangerous place that I'm in, 'cause it's been taking me to places I ain't never been. With loneliness inside of me, depression and anxiety, reminding me that I can't trust this world that is lied to me. And if it's true that I've been played by the world, can I really trust the creator of every boy and every girl? He's either a lunatic or a sad man, a madman or a bad man. 'Cause I can't ever understand why you give your life for all men. And is this gift of love just something to borrow? Or is it something that has substance that can drown out my sorrow? 'Cause I'm exhausted of the mind games. I make another move and life is calling checkmate. I'm getting sick of all the heartache and the blind dates. With these questions I can't answer, hoping someday
There's gotta be more. There's gotta be more than this. I can't lose hope. Somebody shed light on me. 'Cause all of these questions I can't answer still. I know this for sure. There's gotta be more to life than this.
no matter the headspace you find yourself in. There's a God who is and was and has always been. He's the antidote to the wrestling inside. Jesus came to die and raise in 3 so we could have life. He took the weight of the world so we can fight in him. He promised to walk with us in valleys when the future's dim. It's his resurrection that can redirect us, giving us hope in the worst of circumstances. And not that we would come to him just to fix us up, but he loves his children so when